Welcome to the Story Learning Podcast, regular doses of language learning tips and motivation to help you become fluent in any language. With me, Olly Richards. For language programs, books, free resources, and much more, visit StoryLearning.com.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the I Will Teach You a Language podcast. Today, what I thought we would do is continue on straight from the last episode with the next 3 rules of language learning, because I'm quite enjoying myself recording these, so hopefully you're enjoying them too. In fact, maybe you could let me know if you do like this series. I know it's only part of 3, but anyway, feel free to drop me an email or a tweet or something to let me know whether these rules of language learning are interesting or useful in some way. All right, then, let's continue on with rule number 7. Rule number 7 of the rules of language learning is something that will be familiar to you. Always listen to audio with the transcript. Now, there are practical reasons why this isn't always possible, but if we are looking to figure out a kind of system and an approach for learning languages as fast as possible, then it doesn't come much better than having a transcript for the audio. Because, well, there's a whole host of reasons why that is. Listening is a difficult skill. You all know what it's like to be trying to speak your target language with somebody who speaks too fast and you can't keep up. You know, the effect of not being able to understand is a lack of confidence, it's panic, it's not very nice. I'm sure you've tried to watch movies or listen to podcasts before where it's just too fast and you can't keep up. Well, the transcript is like a gift from God, because what it means is you can read and see everything that you hear. And the reason that this is so powerful is because it helps you improve your listening skills very directly. Anytime you don't understand, you don't understand a phrase or you don't catch a word, when you refer to the transcript and you see written what has been said, that allows you to identify a particular gap in your knowledge. So you might identify, for example, I didn't understand, I couldn't pick those 2 words apart because they were joined together. But now I know what they are because I've seen the text. Well, that realization allows you to, next time you hear a set of words like that, it allows you to think, okay, well, maybe these are 2 other words joined together. So if I tease them apart, I'm going to learn something. And so by comparing what you hear to the words on the page, it allows you to improve your listening skills very quickly. But it's more than that. When you hear and see something, you are far more likely to remember it than if you only see it or if you only hear it. So being able to read along with the transcript of something you can hear is a fantastic way to make everything more memorable. So if you sometimes worry about learning vocabulary or memory, the fastest way to improve your memory and grow your vocabulary is to start to listen to material that comes with the transcript. And of course, the opposite is true. If you tend to read, then finding the audiobook to come with that is wonderful. And with Amazon and Audible now, you can often find an audiobook that you're interested in and then find the actual book itself on Amazon so you can read along and listen at the same time. And of course, when I create my materials, like conversations, for example, which is designed to improve your listening skills, rule number 1 of all the material that I create is that everything comes with a transcript, just like in the Fluent Spanish Academy, which is my group for intermediate Spanish learners. We have huge libraries of listening comprehension training, which is natural conversations recorded, and everything is transcribed, because when you can read along as you listen, everything gets easier. So that's rule number 7. Listen with the transcript. Rule number 8, I like this one. Don't worry about something until it's actually a problem. So what am I getting at here? You know how native speakers will often tell you that something about their language is really hard and is a big problem? Native speakers often have this awareness of things about their language, and they know what things about their language are particularly hard or particularly unusual. And when they have conversations with learners of their language, about that language, there's a tendency to kind of be helpful, I guess, and be learned by talking about your language and saying, yeah, this is something that's pretty hard, but don't worry, it'll be fine. And this "don't worry, it'll be fine, don't worry too much" is really the main point, because almost always when people talk about a language and say, oh, this thing about this language makes it really difficult, the danger is that it becomes something you kind of build this up into a problem in your head, which is a self-fulfilling prophecy. You haven't experienced it as a problem. Someone's told you it's difficult, and therefore you think it's a problem. So to give you a few examples here, dialects of Italian. Italian is a very unique case. It has lots of varieties of Italian. You have the Romanesco, so the dialect from Rome. Then you have Sicilian Italian. These are not so much different dialects, but completely different languages, and often not mutually comprehensible. And so for any learner of Italian, they are told, every region of Italy has, an Italian person will tell you, everywhere you go in Italy, we have our own dialects, and I can't even understand them myself, and I'm Italian. And so in the mind of the learner, then you just think to yourself, oh my God, well, how am I ever going to master all of this? But now let's imagine that no one had ever told you that. So you weren't worried about it because you didn't know it was a problem. So you just set about studying Italian in the normal way. And of course, all the material that you have, all the learner material and all the podcasts you listen to, the books you read, are all written in standard Italian. So it's never a problem. In fact, you go to Italy and you go to, travel all around the country. The people that you meet realize that you are a tourist, that you're not from Italy, so they speak to you in standard Italian. In fact, it's perfectly possible that you go for years learning Italian. You have friends and you speak to them in Italian without ever having to worry about a dialect of Italian. That's the most likely outcome, actually. And yet, because people tell you that Italian is difficult because there are all these dialects, you create this problem in your brain which then influences you and is in the back of your mind for your whole learning experience. And it's a huge negative. So don't worry about something until it actually becomes a problem. If you actually end up moving to Venice and you live in the countryside of Venice and everyone speaks the local dialect, then in that situation, maybe it might be worth you learning it, but maybe not, because I know there are parts of Italy where people don't know their local dialect. Other examples include varieties of Spanish. I see this all the time because I work quite a lot with Spanish learners, and I hear people say things like, "Well, I'm not sure if I can join your Fluent Spanish Academy because I'm learning Mexican Spanish," or the reverse. You have stuff for Mexican Spanish, but I'm learning Spanish from Costa Rica, so it's not for me. People have been told, or they've learnt one way or another, that in the Spanish-speaking world there are different varieties of Spanish. And so they create this problem in their brain, which actually prevents them from learning. I don't even want to think about how often Spanish learners around the world don't avail themselves of certain kinds of material, which could be extremely helpful because they think it's not relevant for them because it's a different variety of Spanish. And yet, what they don't realize is that 99% of Spanish is exactly the same. And when you do get local variations from one country to the next, most of the time it's pretty simple. It's like a vocabulary word here or there, or kind of daily phrases, which sometimes seem to be more important than they are. People hear that you've got different ways of saying "how are you" in Cuba or Spain or Colombia, so they think, "Oh my God, everything is different." But actually, no, it's just the most visible parts which are very different, but the underlying language is exactly the same. And so someone who's learning Spanish from, say, Cuba, may very well go around desperately in his desperate attempt to find material related to Cuban Spanish, and there's not very much of it, so they won't find it, and they'll drive themselves into a frenzy looking for Cuban Spanish material. Whereas in actual fact, what they should be doing is just going out and becoming literate in the Spanish language as a whole, which will make it much easier to go on and learn that particular variety of Spanish later once they have a very good foundation. The same thing could be true for a grammar point. How many English teachers out there are aware of the complexity of the present perfect? And if you're speaking to a student, you might say, "Oh yeah, the present perfect is really, really hard. You've got five different situations in which we would use the present perfect, and they're all quite tricky to remember. But it'll be okay. Don't worry." And it's like you just instilled the fear of God into your student, who now thinks it's going to be impossible to learn the present perfect. Whereas, as we know, you can use pretty much any past tense you want, and I'm still going to understand you. So it's not a problem Don't let something become a problem until it actually is. That's rule number 8. Don't worry about something until it's actually a problem. All right then, number 9. Do something every day, however small. This is something that you will not need much convincing. I know, as a podcast listener, you know the value of this. People, there's a persistent belief that you have to study for hours every day to learn a language, and of course, the more you do, the better. But when you build it up into something in your mind, when you convince yourself you have to study for 2 hours a day or nothing, then you deprive yourself of the extremely potent act of doing something very small every day. Because when you do something very, very small every day, what you're doing is you're conditioning your brain. It's like if you start going for a walk, if you're someone who doesn't walk, and suddenly you start going for a 5-minute walk every day, or a 15-minute walk every day, I mean, it's obvious that that's going to have a hugely beneficial effect on your health, right? And so the same is true for language learning. For someone who is terribly inconsistent in their learning, and they do 2 hours at the weekend and then nothing for 2 weeks, right? Or they're always on and off looking for a different better way to learn or something. If you simply say to yourself, right, I'm just going to do 15 minutes every day, or even 5 minutes every day. I'm going to read a story a day. Hashtag a story a day. It's my new hashtag. In case you missed the episode the other day, I'm trying to encourage people to do exactly this, to do something small every day. And of course, the richer the activity, the better. So if you can read a story every day, for example, then, in a month's time, 2 months' time, 3 months' time, do you have any idea how powerful that is? A small daily action done over a period of time. And so this is the 9th rule of language learning, is to do something small, do something every day, however small. And don't let the thought of, I'm not doing enough, actually sabotage your program. One of my favorite expressions is, don't let the great get in the way of the good. The great in this case being like 2 or 3 hours. If you can do 2 or 3 hours in a day, of course that's great. But if your desire to do 3 hours actually stops you from doing the good, which is, say, 15 minutes a day, then it becomes a bad thing. So do something every day, however small. That is rule number 9, the 9th rule of language learning. Hope you found that thought-provoking. If you'd like to leave me a comment or a question, then please go to iwillteachyoualanguage.com/episode 273. We also have 2 earlier parts of these. You can find part 1 of the rules of language learning in episode 257. And of course, part 2 was the last episode, number 272, so you can go back and find those if you want to go from the very beginning. I really think I'd like, when I'm done with this series, whenever that may be, whenever I run out of rules, I would really like to make this into a little book of some kind, because I think this is the kind of book that I would like to have on my bedside table, just dip into every now and again to just remind myself of the fundamentals. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Leave me a comment on the show notes. Once again, iwillteachyoualanguage.com/episode 273, and I'll see you back in the next episode of the podcast. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode, and in case you didn't already know, I teach languages in a rather unusual way, through stories. Now, stories are a great way to learn a new language because when you're engrossed in a story, you remember things more easily, and the mechanics of the language just start clicking inside your brain. It's quite something, and if you'd like to find out how you can learn a new language or improve your skills in a language that you already know and do it with the power of stories, then you should check out my free Story Learning Kit, which will teach you exactly how this method works and how you can use it yourself to learn a new language. Visit storylearning.com/podkit, that's PODKIT, to get free access. Inside, you'll find explanatory videos, masterclasses, worksheets, short stories to practice with, and much, much more. Once again, that is storylearning.com/podkit, PODKIT, and if you're lucky, you might also find a link in the podcast description or show notes of this episode.